All right, take back host. It's going live now, so it's 20-second delay.
Can you give me host? I don't seem to have an option to take it.
Oh, sorry. Make host.
Thank you. Thanks, Julia.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Awesome. We're live. Okay. So sorry about the delay there. We had a few technical issues this morning, as happens a lot. I'm sure you can all relate. It's really good to have you online with us. We are recording this session, so you'll be able to jump back into anything that you can't remember later on, or don't worry about taking heaps of notes or anything like that. So I'm Lara. And I'm here today to talk to you about using G Suite tools to power up your literacy. We're going to dive right into that very soon. I'm based in Queenstown, New Zealand. So this morning we have woken up to a fairly decent dusting of snow on the mountains. So it's quite cool here, a very quick change from the beautiful summer we've been having while we've been in isolation and lockdown. So yeah, it's a really interesting time, and I really appreciate you being here this morning for this session. I'd also like to introduce you to my colleague Donna, who is going to be here in the background answering questions and things for you as well. So what we'll do is I'll explain to you the kind of process of how this will work today, and we'll get started. So I'm just going to jump in and share my screen with you. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So hopefully you're seeing a slide that says power up your literacy lessons with G Suite. Donna, can you confirm that that is going through for me, please?
I'm not seeing it just yet, Laura, but it could be there's just that little bit of a delay.
Sure. Are you seeing it in Zoom, or are you seeing it in the...
I'm seeing it in Zoom, but I'm also
Okay, great. Yeah, because there's a 20-second delay between what I'm doing and what you're seing online. So that's all
and
good.
now I'm seeing it. It's
Perfect.
there.
Cool. Okay. All right. So powering up literacy lessons with G Suite. While you're waiting, well, we're not waiting anymore. We've done that part. If you open up a new browser tab, which if you're in Chrome, you can do with Command T if you're on a Mac, or Control T if you're on a PC. And in the very top line, type in bit.ly/NSW14 April. That'll take you to a Google Doc where you can put any questions into the Google Doc. We'll be able to answer those questions for you as we go through. I'm going to stop at certain points and ask if there's any questions. Donna will be on that doc with you answering as we go. So do feel free to chuck anything in there or thoughts as we head on through, and we'll review those and come back to any we haven't answered and comment in later. Yeah, so I'll give you a second just to jump in there and get that loaded, and feel free to pop your name into one of the cells, one of the rows, one of the columns, one of the rows in the column, and say g'day, and we'll get started. I'm not sure how many people we have on with us at the moment, but the doc will be limited to 100. So if it stops working, don't worry. We can answer your questions from the where you're watching this video as well, from the streaming point too. So just check if we've got people coming in. I can see, yes, great. We've got a few people jumping in there, so that's awesome. This link is on the next few slides as well. So you can, if you've missed it on this first one, you'll be able to jump in the other ones. Okay, so power up your literacy lessons with G Suite. So today we're going to start by talking about what is literacy and how it's changed with technology and what's become available to us, and then give you some really practical ideas for you and your students. Taking into account that the shift to some remote teaching and learning is happening as well. I do have that in mind as we work through, but that's not the sole focus of this training. But there will be things in here that will definitely help you if you are remote teaching and your students are learning from home. So I want to start with thinking about what literacy looked like when you were 15, when you were at school. What were your literacy lessons actually like? Were you using different tools? Where were you finding information? What were you then expected to do with that information? So I've already asked Donna this question a few times, but she always gives me her original answer, which I appreciate. So Donna, I'm going to ask you about what sort of things you did in your literacy lessons when you were 15, when you were at school, what that meant at that point. And if people out there want to throw their ideas on the doc as well, that's cool. So Donna.
Yes, Lara, I would like to try and change it, but actually it hasn't changed since I was 15. So it was very two-dimensional. It was very paper-based. It was very much, if it was reading, you read the story and then you just simply answered some comprehension questions. Maybe we might have written a poem or something, but that was very rare. And if it was kind of writing literacy, it was very much you read something, you wrote about it, and again, you just wrote it on paper. And you did research in a book, you maybe had the Britannica encyclopedia set. That was very exciting if you had a set of those to look up some information for your writing. But very much paper-based, very much 2D.
Yeah, totally. I was pretty similar actually, and I know I may look very, very youthful, but I was also at school pre-internet when I was 15. So we weren't using the internet at school to find information. We weren't being able to find resources and things that way. It was very much going to the library or talking to people or watching documentaries. Do you remember the TVs that used to get rolled into your class with the VCR on them? And you'd sit and watch that tiny screen from the back of the classroom. So I guess the point is things have really changed, and the change brings new challenges and new opportunities as well. So that's something I want to touch on a little bit today. Yeah. So I Googled the word literacy, and this is what a Google definition search returns. It's the ability to read and write. I think as teachers, we know that there's so much more to literacy than the ability to read and write. We're talking about, Donna said the word comprehension. So just being able to physically read the words, but then what do you understand from them is vital. What can you then do with that information? So how do you analyze and synthesize and critique that information, and then what do you do with it? What do you turn it into? How do you share that with the world in your own way, in your own voice? So that's what I want to talk about today, is what is the new definition of literacy and how are we making sure our students are prepared to be literate in the world we have now and the world that we will have in the future. So I've put together a few little bits and pieces here that make me think about literacy today. So podcasts. I love podcasts and I listen to a whole lot of them. I'm probably that boring person at a party, when we're allowed to have parties again, that talks about the podcasts they listened to recently. Sometimes it's interesting, and yeah, so podcasts are pretty important, and I know students are getting more and more into it. We've got symbols and signs. So symbols are in lots of different places. Really prevalent with emojis, so visual language and understanding. We can share a lot through using those symbols. Google, being able to access information, being able to find images, so understanding visual literacy with images, but also knowing where to find them, how to use them, all that kind of thing too. GIFs, so we've got Homer down the bottom there trying to read. So GIFs can portray a lot of information and a lot of meaning and feeling as well. And then of course, ads, books, and then the picture in the top right. There's a picture in the top right corner there that's got that army helicopter and a shark and a man on a ladder. Now, I'm going to ask Donna again why she thinks I put this in here. And she already knows because she's been in this session with me before. But Donna, I want you to give me your original answer to this one again, if you will. So why do you think that picture is there?
The top right-hand corner picture is there because although it looks incredibly real and incredibly frightening, it's actually a fake image that's been recreated.
That's right. So I wanted to trick you into that, but it's hard to trick you when you've seen this before. So the top picture is a fake image that's been put together using technology. It looks incredibly real, and experts are now finding it harder and harder to tell apart fake images and real images, which is a real concern, and not just with images, but with articles and news and even videos as well. So I've put that one in there to really highlight the importance of critical thinking, understanding how to check sources and all that kind of thing for even very young students. I think that's pretty obvious at this point in time with the current world situation, that there's a lot of mistrust in media and not knowing what information to trust, what sources to trust, and all of that as well has caused a lot of confusion and a lot of pain for people as well. So really important that we're addressing that with our students too. So to me, literacy isn't just about the lesson you go to for literacy or English or language arts or whatever it's called. It obviously runs through everything that we're doing with our students. It's about accessing, understanding, and sharing information. So I quite like these two definitions a little bit better than that one. And I'm not going to read them all out to you, but the words that are in bold there are the ones that really stand out to me as being important. So create, critique, analyze, and evaluate multimedia texts. Critical thinking, scientific reasoning, and multicultural awareness are all pretty important in terms of being literate today and in the future. The references for these two quotes are on the slides, and I will be sharing these slides with you at the end. So I just want to pause there for a second and just see if there's any questions, Donna, that have come through on the doc that you think we could address now, or if we're good to keep going. I'll flick over and have a look at the doc too.
No, we're good to keep going, Lara. Lots of people saying hi, which is really awesome. But we just have one question at the moment around CS First program, but I've just messaged Sam to see if she's got a good contact person for that one.
Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Well, we'll keep on moving on then. So I've kind of split the way I think about literacy and teaching literacy into three kind of areas, and it's not hard and fast, and it's not solid, and there's a lot of grey area in between, but I think of it in terms of consuming, creating, and then connecting. So how can we use digital tools to do these things? How can we enhance what we're trying to teach our kids rather than add on the aspect of technology? And what I want to leave you with today is a few really good ideas. We're going to take a look at lots of different ideas, but dig into a few in depth. And these might be the ones that connect with you, or they might not be. Now, obviously, we've got teachers who are teaching very, very young students right through to the end of secondary. So it's really important in this, in the next hour or so, that you are taking what you're hearing and applying it to your context, to your students, to your community, and to your curriculum, what it is that you're delivering. So it might feel like a little bit of information overload, but my idea here is to give you a lot of ideas and just see which one or two things stick with you to start with, rather than trying to do all of these things. So please don't feel like you need to remember all of these. It's more here's some opportunities, and then how do we go further with those as well. And we're looking at G Suite because it's an incredible tool that you already have. So when we talk about consuming, we're talking about finding information. And if that's a Google search, I really hope your students have been taught how to search, because I still struggle with it now, and it's part of my job to know how to do it. So searching on the internet is very different to searching in a library. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. We're going to talk about critical thinking and comprehension, and also video comprehension. So two key questions here. How do my students use other people's work in ethical ways? And how do I support them and scaffold them with this? So you can see there's some icons all around it for some tools that we can think about. We're going to talk about some of these as we move through. So critical thinking, as we looked at with that image of the helicopter and the shark, this video here is a video, it's called deep fake. So it's a fake video where they've mapped Obama's face and words together to make it look like he's saying something that he's not. Now, if you take that into the real world and look at having somebody as powerful as a president or a prime minister or even a celebrity doing or saying something they never did or said, the influence that that can have on people is pretty massive. And as I said before, experts in this field are finding it harder and harder to work out what's real and what's not. These deepfakes are getting better and better all the time. So critical thinking and knowing how to check sources of information is a pretty important skill for our students. And I've got a couple of tools for you to help you teach that to them or help to support them with it. So on this side here is a website that's a fake website, all about a fake creature called the Pacific Northwest Tree Octopus. This is great, and I've used this with my students every year that I was teaching. The whole website is very comprehensive, lots of information, but it's all about a completely fake animal. So it's a really cool place to send your students to get them to see if they can work out why, or just to send them there first and see if they suspect anything. That's come from this resource here that is 7 fake websites to test students. So I've got the link to that for you in the slides. You can jump in and have a look and see which ones might connect with your students or something that they're learning about already, and ask them to try and work out why they are not real. Another really amazing site, particularly for secondary students, is All Sides. So this looks at how to critically evaluate news, media content, and other information. So even if this site, it's quite American bias, but even if you use the site to help you work out ideas that you can use with your students to help them understand bias, media bias, and critical thinking within the literacy learning that they're doing. So that's called all sides, and that link is just here. So critical thinking, understanding where information comes from and how to check 3 sources is a really good way to just do it. If you can find that it's in 3 sources, then you can start to think it might be reliable. And also understanding which sources are credible too. And there's some other tools out there for you that you can do that with as well. And one of them is called EasyBib. And this fake website is part of an EasyBib website. So you can from here have a look at the information on EasyBib from that website too. So how do we scaffold research? How do we make sure that students are learning this progressively across school and are utilising these skills to help them become better researchers and better critical thinkers? So I've kind of broken it down into how you might approach this. So initially with your younger students, you might give them the direct links to the exact web page that you want them to use to find information. Perhaps you give them the link to the website and they then find the right web pages from there. So a bit of a treasure hunt to look around to see where they can find things. Maybe you give them 3 links to 3 different websites, one of which doesn't quite fit in, and ask them to work out which is the least or most reliable. Guided searching with a search engine, we're going to take a look at that in just a moment. You could give them parameters, or you could ask them to try and find the most specific information they can about a topic and get them to screenshot that advanced search window so you can see what they were actually using. I'll show you the advanced search window in just a moment. Let them search, but they have to give you links to the sources. Rank sources for credibility. So out of the 5 resources they've used, in what order would they rank them as being credible? And independent searching using tools, lists of websites or bookmarks, footnotes and references in docs. We're going to look at that later, as well as citations and bibliographies. So the first thing I want to talk about there is scaffolding research. So with hyperdocs. So hyperdocs are basically just a Word doc or a Google Doc or a slide that you can attach web links to take them to other places. So you're collating everything that you want them to use. So there's 4 examples on the screen right now, 2 on docs and 2 on slides. All they've done here, the people who've created these have put them together. Tables are really useful for this sort of thing, and put the links into here. This will take you to a Hyperdocs homepage, which has hundreds, if not thousands, of examples that you can use or use as inspiration to create your own, or take and adjust for your own as well. So I want to just go over, for those of you who maybe aren't too sure, how we can hyperlink. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come out of the presentation mode in here and just come to this information about how to hyperlink. So hyperlinks is when you see those clickable texts or images that you can click on to take you to somewhere online. So what I'm going to do is just show you a few ways that you can do that. And it's the same in docs as it is in slides, which is what I'm in at the moment. So this is going to be all about Paris. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find some information about Paris. And I could open a new tab and go and do a Google search, but I actually have some search functions built into slides and docs too. And that's with this Explore tool down the bottom. So if I click on that, it opens a panel on the right-hand side where I can type in what it is that I'd like to search. Oops, I did that too fast. I hit enter when it was still loading. And if I do Paris and hit enter, what I've got are web results, images that I can use, and these are all licensed for reuse. You don't need to worry about copyright with all of these, they're ready to go. And it also searches in my drive. If I come back to the web, I can see some information from Google about Paris, and then underneath are my web results. You only get a few, but from here you can click on it and it will take you to that website. So a really fast way to get information about Paris and you can avoid going through a Google search. Those are the top hits that you'll get there as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the URL or the address from the top, and to highlight that, I just clicked twice on the end, and it highlighted for me. And then I'm going to use Command C. I'm on a Mac. If you're on a PC, that'll be Control C. Copy the URL or the address, come back to my slide, and whatever I want to make the clickable thing, like maybe all of this text here, I highlight what I want it to be. I can either use the link, insert link from here, or insert link from here, or I can do Command K on my keyboard to bring up the dialog box. It'll be the same for everything. Now, because I'd already highlighted the text, all I need to do is pop the link in there with Command V and click on apply. Another way I could do it is to start with the link dialog box, and I could type in here what I want the text to be and then paste it. Or if I want it to be one word in the sentence, then I just highlight the one word that I want, and I'm using my Command K shortcut, paste it in there and apply. You can turn images into links as well with the same, that was the same shortcut I used, and shapes. So now all of these are linked to their website, and you click once and click again to travel to it because you're in a slide or it's the same in a doc, one click to show what it is, and then you click again to travel to it. So if you know how to hyperlink, you know how to make hyperdocs by combining the things that you want them to go to all into this page. So that'll scaffold research for your younger students or your students who the task isn't about research skills, it's about what they can find from within the research you've given them. So now we can talk about advanced searching within Google. So if I come out to a Google search page, just opening a new tab, and I'll type Paris into here, what I get is a lot of information about Paris. I've got, at the moment, most of it will be about Paris, the place. You might get information about other things too. You can use search functions like minus. You can do minus film. You can even do minus Pinterest if you're getting a lot of Pinterest results, and that will exclude those from there. But if we go to settings, and down to advanced search, you have a lot more options in here too. So all of these words, exact words, and so on. But what I really like about this is you can actually look for things in different languages from different regions, when it was last updated, site or domain. So if you want to find just education results.edu, and here's some over here that help to show you what domains can look like. So e.edu is going to only bring us education results and all sorts of other things that you can do down here, including usage rights. So if I apply this to my search, I only get education, and they're all from within the last 24 hours. So advanced searching is a really great way to show your students what they can do to search, and they could screenshot this for you, or they could screenshot it from within the advanced search page to show you what they've done. So what they think is a good way to search for those things that you're asking them to find. And shuffle that up to there. The other really great place to help you to learn about how to search or how search works is this Google Search Education site. It's pretty amazing and very comprehensive. Lesson plans and activities in here. So if you go ahead and click on this, you have lesson plans for a lot of different levels, beginner, intermediate, and advanced, about lots of different things that they need to know when they are learning how to research using the internet. So an absolutely awesome resource. And when you come in to it, it's got information for you, the teacher, and it's got slides ready for you to use to teach your students as well. So you can come through, see what it's going to be all about, and then you've got a presentation here that is ready for you to go. So really awesome, comprehensive resource. You can change those too if you open them up in slides rather than viewing it. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about is video comprehension. So videos are very, very prominent in our lives and in our students' lives too, and they're a really amazing source of information and a wealth of knowledge. But often students will just watch it and we don't know if they're actually paying attention or taking it in. So we're talking watching versus interacting, being passive viewers of videos and understanding how to pull information out of those videos. So one of my favorite tools is Edie Puzzle because it allows us to do that and build out videos. And it's also integrated with a lot of G Suite tools. So this is Edie Puzzle, and it's a free tool. At the moment, I believe that it is open for, their premium features are open for schools affected by shutdown from COVID-19. But even just the basic version is fine. It just limits you to how many videos you can do. So you can see here that this is the homepage of Edie Puzzle. And at this side here, I've got my content. And then down here, These are video sources that people have used to create lessons with. So let me just show you a lesson I'm working on at the moment. And this is a lesson with a video that I have created. So I created this video with a tool called Screencastify, which we're going to look at later in this session. And now I'm adjusting it and getting it ready for my students to be interacting with this video. So you can see down here, there's my video. Here's some options that I have. I'm going to jump into edit, and I've got 3 ways that I can edit this video. I can cut it. So if it's a 20-minute video, and you can do this with any videos you find on YouTube or Khan Academy or anywhere at all, TED Talks, whatever, you can come in and you can reduce the time that the video is going to play for your students if you want to. So if there's a specific part of time in the video you want them to view, then you can cut it like that. I won't cut it. And so you can see there, I'm going to leave this as a whole video, so I won't cut it there. My next option is voiceover. So you can record your whole voice, your voice over the whole video. That wouldn't be useful for me here because I've already narrated this video when I made it. But if you find a video on YouTube or somewhere that you want to use, but perhaps it's in a different language, or perhaps there's an accent on there that's going to make it difficult for your students to understand, or even if it's using different sort of measurement units, then you can record over the whole video with your voice. Research into flipped learning and blended learning has shown that teachers being present in what they're giving to their students is really important and really powerful. And this is one quick way for you to be there with your students, even when you can't be physically there with them. So VoiceOver tool is awesome. It will replace the whole video. You can't replace sections in the video. So you can replace the whole thing. But if you only wanted to replace a section, you could also just give them that cut section of the video too. And then we've got questions. So we can stop the video at certain points and put in a multiple choice question, an open-ended question, or a note. So if I play this video through, and I've muted this tab, we'll get it through, you can see this one moving, and I've already got it stopping at this point with the question I've put in. So we'll see what that question is. And this is one that's already been put in. So where do you put the Screencastify extension? And if I choose, and this isn't what the students see, this is showing me what I've already put in. It's showing me that this is the answer I've chosen as correct. And the beauty of multiple choice questions is that these will be self-marking as well, so saving you time there. So if we continue watching, you can see the video tracking along here. If I want it to stop here and ask another question, it's as easy as that. Just pause the video, hit on the type of question you want. Question goes here. Answer 1, 2, add another choice, and so on. And then you select which one is the correct answer by doing that and save. When you finish building up your video with what you want the students to see and do, you can click on finish. So here we go. Here's my completed video. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to assign it. You can assign it to an existing Google Classroom, or you can create a class that sits within Edie Puzzle. Another way you can do it is to grab a public link, share that with your students through Classroom or on a Hyperdoc or wherever you like, and that will take them to it from there. Okay, so if I assign it to a class though, what I will see is I will see my students and where they're tracking with it. So here's the video, here are my students. None of them have watched any of it. The grade will come in if I have multiple choice questions. It tells me when they've been watching it and when they're finished if they've turned it in. So really awesome for you to be able to see what they can do and how they're interacting with that video as well. For the students, the view is pretty straightforward. They'll watch it like this. Just speed it up a bit. Oh, I put the setting on no skipping, so I can't even skip it. Or let it get to the first one. I'll show you what it does because it's pretty neat. So really simple, easy to use tool. I love the integration with Google Classroom because it means you don't have to assign it to students individually and you can track where they're all up to. And self-marking, I mean, who doesn't love that? So this is what a student will see. If they don't know, rewatch. If they do know, they can click on it, submit, and it will tell them straight away. Okay, so I got it wrong. It's showing me where the right one is, and I can continue with the video. Alrighty, so that's Edie Puzzle. Just to show you some of the other ones that are here too, because you don't have to create your own. If you search for something like virus, you will see here that people have made a lot of videos about viruses too. You can jump in and you can edit theirs, or you can, so these are all versions that people have made. You can have a look at what they've got. You can look at what their questions were, and you can change them. You can edit the whole thing and assign it to your students as well. So Edie Puzzle is a really worthwhile tool to look for. If the video is not in here, you just copy the link and paste it to here for what video you want to bring in from whichever source you have. Okay, any questions coming through there, Donna, that we can answer at this point?
We do just have a question about seeing Google Classroom from the student's perspective. If you're the teacher, they have had another teacher join their class as a student, but they were just asking if there was a cleaner way of doing it. I have been messaging Sam in the background, and other than joining with a personal email from outside, which their domain doesn't allow, there isn't really another option that we know about. So maybe if somebody else...
They just create a few fake student profiles. I don't know what the...
they can't, the domain won't allow them to do that.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So maybe if someone else who's on the doc, if they've got a workaround for that, feel free to drop that in. But that's all. Just one quick thing, Lara, you were showing the hyperlink option, which is really awesome. If they want to share that with students in a preview mode, then for students, it's only one click and they're straight to the link. So if they've got very young students, sharing it in preview is actually really awesome because it's one click and they're straight there.
Cool. Thank you, Donna. Good idea. So that what Donna's saying is you share it with just view only rights. Is that right, Donna?
No, with the preview option.
Yeah,
so you change the word edit to preview, and then it puts it into preview mode.
Cool. We can have a look at that when we jump into a doc shortly too. Awesome. So nothing else on there for now?
Yes, there is. Just somebody's just Cecilia has just asked a question about Edie Puzzle. Do students have to sign in to make a profile and join the class?
If you send it through to them through Google Classroom, no, it just connects to them with their Google Classroom and your Google Classroom. When you create a class from within here, so you can invite students to your class, giving them a link like this. I think they will still have to sign in with their G Suite credentials, so just what they use for their G Suite anyway. It'll be just a sign in with Google button and connecting it to that account. So that's the integration.
And just one more question from Emma about Edie Puzzle. So they have some problems in that New South Wales blocks YouTube videos. Would Edie Puzzle work for students at New South Wales Department of Education schools?
Pass. I think it would depend. I don't know if it will run the YouTube videos through Edie Puzzle or not. Definitely worth a try. Still useful for your own videos you create too, but I don't think it would override if YouTube videos are blocked because it is essentially using that URL, not making a copy of the video.
Yes, some lovely person is just typing in that no student access to YouTube at school is blocked until upper secondary. So
right,
it wouldn't work, but yeah, totally play around with it and see what happens.
Yeah, and see what other videos you can access or you can make as well. So one thing we're going to come to talk about soon is reading aloud. We got asked the last time we did this session was how do we go about reading aloud to our students? And one way you could do that is through Edie Puzzle. So, you know, videoing yourself reading the book to your students and it's stopping at certain points with the questions going in there too would be a really cool way to be doing that. I do have some information coming up about the copyright and legality of reading books aloud online, so we can talk about that soon. Okay, so looking into how we can help our students utilize technology to create. So to take what they've found out when they're consuming and to create. And what I love about this part is the transformative power of tech. So giving them the ability to create dynamic multimedia outcomes that really add value to their learning. We're going to talk about citations, image searching, copyright and more, some assistive tech, creation tools, and then a couple of things to think about. What's the best way to showcase learning? Is it fit for purpose? And what tools will enhance the learning I'm trying to do with my students? So within G Suite, we've got some pretty incredible tools. We've got Google Docs, slides and drawings, some of my absolute favorites for creating right there. I'm going to jump into a doc now that And I'm going to demonstrate some of these things as well. So bear with me one moment. I did have it open and then I closed it. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for 1 second while I find that. Donna, is there anything else going on in there that... Oh, I've got it.
We've just got a very helpful person who's offering some suggestions about the Google Classroom student view. So thank you for that. Because you're in as an anonymous animal, I'm not quite sure who it is. It's anonymous chipmunk, but thank you for popping your ideas in there. That's really helpful.
Awesome. Okay, so what I have in front of me here is a big blank Google Doc. And what I'm going to do is show you a few things that I think make it really more user-friendly for your students, and also supports those students who might have problems with writing or getting their ideas out, really. So I'm going to come up here to File. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the page color. This is particularly good if you are showing Google Docs in your classroom, when you're back in your classroom and projecting them up on the screen, because the whiteness of the page can be quite hard for some students to see. So coming down to page setup, and then just in here, switching the page color, and I prefer this third line down, this sort of softer pastel colors here, and 1 click and OK will change this doc. Okay, so showing your students how to do that is really important. Students who have dyslexia or Erlands, this is really, really beneficial to them, being able to do that. Now, the next thing I want to show you, which you may have seen, is voice typing. And the voice typing built into G Suite tools is getting better and better and better. And even with my Kiwi accent, I think we'll have a little bit of success. So I'm just going to come up to my tools menu and go to voice typing. And what I've got here is this little box that's popped up, and I can click to get started, and I'm going to do that now. It's really easy for me to get my ideas down on paper if I can voice type, full stop. Sometimes it doesn't get it perfect, but I can go back and review that, and it makes editing that much easier, full stop. Okay, so you can see that I've got a whole lot down already. So if I was a student who really struggled to get my ideas out, I'm not starting with that blank page, and I can go back and look for the things that need my attention and fix them up. I know for many of my students who had issues with this, if I could see them even noticing that that needed a capital, I would have been stoked. Another thing we can do to support students who speak languages other than English as their first language is click the language that we're going to translate into, record in that language, and then translate it back to English afterwards, which is pretty neat. So that recording voice typing tool is amazing. The next thing I want to show you is an image search. And we did see that you can do that from the Explore tool. You can also do it from Insert Image, and you can also do it from this menu here. And you've got options for how you want to find images. We can go to search the web, and this is going to search for images that are licensed for reuse immediately. So you don't need to worry about going to find copyright images that are open for copyright. You can use any that come up in here straight away. Double click and it's in. So not going out to Google and doing a Google search, but just staying within the doc and not having to worry about breaking copyright or copying and pasting or downloading and bringing it back into the doc at all. It's all just there, which is awesome. Okay, so the other thing we can do with Explore is look for, actually, sorry, one more thing on photos, add-ons in Google Docs. So add-ons in G Suite tools are specific to the tool you're using. So my add-ons that I put into Docs are listed here. You can find them in the same menu and go into Get Add-ons. One that I really like in here is Pixabay Free Images. So if I start this one up, it opens in a panel. Pixabay is a website that has loads of free images, and they're beautiful, really high quality images that you can use, again, licensed for reuse. So again, click on that one, double click on that one, it pops it in, and it also links it to where it came from. Oh, did it twice. So we'll just delete one of those. Oh, it doesn't want to do it for me today. There we go. Okay, so we've got 2 images in there, both licensed for reuse, super easy, not having to go out to Google at all. Now, another thing that I can do is with my Explore tool in Docs is that information search online that we did before. Same as what we had when we were in slides. I'll come down a little bit I'm going to jump out to this website. And I'm going to do some writing based on what I've found in this website. So I want to cite it. I could copy and paste and bring this back over, but the ability to do that's actually already built in. So if I come in here, write my amazing sentence from the research I've just done, and then I want to do a citation. Now, if any of you have done any studying recently and had to do bibliographies and citations, this may cause you pain. I did some postgrad work a couple of years ago, and the citations and the bibliography was one of the things that nearly broke me. So this is pretty incredible. This is what I've written, and I want to cite where that came from. You'll notice when I hover over these results, I get a little citation mark. So if I click on this, it puts the number 1 beside where my cursor was. Down the bottom of the page puts the citation. You can change the style of citation by clicking in here and switching it around. Let's do this one here. So now number 2 is here. That will instantly reorder them based on where you put those citations on the page. Pretty amazing way to help your students get those citations in. If it didn't show up, if that website didn't show up in the search, because this is a limited search, then you can bring it in yourself by, let me grab this one here. You can grab the URL and you can reverse that by putting the URL in the search bar. And that will, of course, search for that website where you can put more info. You can click on the citations again there, puts the number 3 and it puts it down the bottom. And you'll see that that's held the last change I made in the citation format. So it's 2 APAs. Okay, so citation within docs is pretty awesome. The last thing I want to show you while we're in this doc at the moment is version history. So version history was great for when we wanted to see which student had deleted what and what they'd been doing, but I believe it's got much more power than that. So from file, we can come down to version history, see version history, and this shows me every change that's happened on this document. Now, this is a pretty new document and it's only had me on it, so it'll only have my name. But if I'd been working on this with other people, there would be a lot more information on here too about what changes they made. I can take it back to any of the changes that have happened, and I can restore that version if I wanted to go back to that. A way I really like to use this with students is to get them to use one document for a whole project that they're working on. So starting with notes, and then they can come in, or as they finish, they can name it from the doc, come in here, click on the 3 dots, name this version, and they might call that notes. Then they can take those notes and start working on their paragraphs. So this might be the point where they've got their draft 1 ready. And what they're doing is essentially putting markers within their work to show us the progress rather than it's the process rather than the product. So this might be their final copy. So as a teacher, when you come in here, if you want to see the process that they've undertaken and how they got from their notes into paragraphs and how they then reworked those paragraphs, you can then click on this and just see those named versions and the current version as well. If you want to take it back to any of those, you can, of course, click on restore this version. Yeah. Or just come back out of that with this arrow. You can name the version without having to go into that panel too. File, version history, name current version. We'll call it finished and save. So I really love that as a way to see how your students are going and for them to place mark that process rather than just what they finish with as well. Okay, slides. So one thing to note about slides is that you can't actually voice type directly onto the slide, but you can voice type into speaker notes. So it's a bit of a workaround that I use sometimes. And voice typing for you as a teacher, giving feedback is pretty awesome if you're working with a lot of tools. So if I come into tools again, voice type speaker notes. These are my notes about creating using G Suite tools. We demonstrated how to use docs to do color change of the page and voice typing, etc. Okay, and then you could copy and paste that where you want it to go on the slide if you wanted it to be on the slide. but a fast way for you to give feedback and notes as well as it being a way to transform learning for our students and really see what they think and what they know rather than what they can write. Okay, a couple of other G Suite tools that I love for creating. Google Keep. I will jump into a Keep window now, and I've taken if you haven't used Google Keep before, it's a pretty cool sort of note-taking tool from Google, and the app on your phone is amazing. And I'm just going to jump in here and delete what I've done with this one. So you can see I've taken a picture of a page in a novel, and I took that on the app on my phone, and it instantly came into what I'm seeing here in my browser. So taking it with my phone inside Google Keep puts it straight through into your browser as well. So an image here, and then I come down to my 3 dots, grab image text. So it's going to work quite hard for a second or two there, and then it's going to give me all the text on the page as well as it can. So you can see it's not quite perfect, but it's doing a pretty good job. This part we see at the top here, this bit in here is actually what it's trying to pick up from in behind where the picture is. So the better quality your picture is, the better it does. We can send that straight to Google Docs. That'll open a new doc and pop it on there. Or from an existing doc, you can come in, open Keep from the side panel, come into here, 3 dots, add to document. That's added the image as well as the text. Okay, so quite useful if you're looking to give your students some extracts from text as well. And the other thing you can do on the app and on the online version here actually too, if we do it live, close, up here I'm going to make, sorry about that. I'm going to make a drawing. And on your phone or iPad, this is really awesome too, really easy way to get label a diagram or show their thinking and draw a quick picture. Oh, that's amazing today. Okay, and we'll go back and we'll go close. Don't even need to label it. In here, what I should see pop up in just a moment is my new cat at the top. There he is. So this one's pinned. This is a note that I've pinned because I use it often. And I'm going to say add to document. I've got my drawing in. So again, for students who have ideas but are struggling to get them out, instead of having a big blank document when they open it up, they actually already have some content they can put on it straight away to then work from. Maybe it's descriptive writing. Google Forms, go to section based on answer, allows you to build, pick a path or choose your own adventure stories. So within the form, I'll pop out to Google Forms now. You can have it so that if they choose go into the cave, it'll take them into the cave, and then you get a different part of the story. So if you think of a flow chart, you can build your stories out like that. So here we go, 3 little pigs, pick a path. So your students could build one out in here. So they've got the part of the story they need to read and a decision they need to make. If I click on this section, I've got some options here for go to section based on answer when it's a multi-choice response. So here I've said, if they choose build a house made of chocolate, go to section, there you go, the chocolate house. And then this one here, if they build a house with a large moat filled with crocodiles, we'd have to go to the one with the crocodiles, a large moat. And then my next sections are built underneath. I can add images. You could even put video in there. So this is another really great way to do storytelling with your kids. Put the video in there and then put questions in and build it out like this. Depending on what they click on, it'll take them to a different section, a different part of the story. Lots of other really cool things that you could explore with your students, and these are all linked. So Read and Write is a product that helps students to access information. Really worth looking at. It is a paid tool, but it works beautifully inside G Suite, and the cost per student is very minimal. If you look at it spread over a year, pretty amazing. Adobe Spark's got some really cool visual literacy kind of tools that you can use to build things up. Canva is awesome. You can create little images for Instagram or little posters. It's got a lot of stuff in there. Book Creator, we're going to come back to at the end because it's one of my favorites. This is a GIF creator, so turning data into something really visual and really interesting. And this is a Google tool, definitely worth checking out. And Giphy here allows you to find GIFs and even create them too. So we'll take a pause there so I can have a little drink of water, and we'll see if there's any questions, Donna, or anything coming in to clarify.
Yes, we do have a few backing up here, Lara. A couple of great suggestions from people watching, which is really awesome. Love the collaboration. Somebody has mentioned using ClickView. So if you are unable to use YouTube, apparently using ClickView is a good option, and they've put some great information about that in the doc for people to read. Somebody else has suggested using Screencast-O-Matic to screen record the video and making your own video and then using that. We have a question from Susan. She's not using Google Classroom, and she would like to know how she could share some videos with her students who are physical disability students.
Yeah, well, I think it would depend on if you're not using Classroom and you don't want to use Classroom, I would use a Google site or a doc to put things on that they can just click on that link, even with an image that they can click on to go out to that video where you want it to be. You could also just put your videos, if you're making them, into a Google Drive folder and share the folder link with them as well. It would depend on which tools you were familiar with within G Suite as to which I'd recommend for you, or which tools your students are already familiar with too, so they're not having to learn that tool. But with Edie Puzzle or any other video that you've got access to, just sharing the link to that video makes it nice and simple, somewhere that they can click on. And you could do that in slides and turn it into this image here could be turned into a link to the video with that hyperlinking information we did earlier. Hopefully that helps a bit.
Or in slides, Lara, you could just insert the video so they could watch the video in a slide.
Genius, Donna, genius. Of course you can. Let me show you that right now. So I'm going to insert a video. And on here, you can search for videos within YouTube. Keep in mind that this doesn't allow you to preview the video while you're in here. So if you know exactly which video you want, you can come in here and grab it and select it to pop it in. If you don't, you can bring the URL from the video you want into here. If you don't have access to YouTube, you've got your Google Drive where things are saved, or URL to another place where that video is stored. And all it does, it allows you to click and select, and it'll put the video on the slide, stopping them from going out to the video. So yeah, if you're not using Classroom, although I would still think Classroom could be a really good tool for your students to learn how to use, because if they just get in there once with the code, or you invite them in and they click on the link in their email, all of that will just sit in that one place and they can bookmark their classroom.
We have a question from Heather who asks about whether there's a sign-on bit.ly, but no, Heather, there isn't. And gorgeous Julia in the background has everyone's names who's attended, and she'll be emailing you out some information about NESA numbers and things afterwards. And Pam has just asked if you could recap using Google Voice in slides, please.
Sure. Okay, so when you come into the tools and slides, you don't have an option just for voice typing like you do in docs. So what you can do instead is use the voice type speaker notes. Click to speak. This is my workaround for adding voice notes to my Google slide. So it's going to take what I say and turn it into text that I can then copy and paste into a text box on the slide afterwards, full stop. Okay, so I copy that from there. So highlight, Command C, make a text box on my slide and paste that in. As easy as that. Then you can delete it from there if you don't want it to be there as well.
Awesome, thanks, Lara. And one little tip from me that I heard in the weekend, which I thought was amazing, and don't know why I haven't thought of it before, when you were showing Google Keep and the drawing function, if you have one of those stylus pens with the soft nibs at the bottom that you can buy from any $2 shop, you can draw with that on your mouse pad. So if you've got students who are wanting to use the drawing function and they've got a soft nibbed stylus, it works on mouse pads. There you go.
That is genius.
Yeah.
Look at all these things we're finding out. Amazing. Thanks.
Read that in the weekend.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, right, we'll keep going. We're moving into the sort of last section in the way that I'm thinking about literacy in terms of that connecting and communicating what they're learning. So thinking about the student-teacher connection, especially if we're taking into consideration that the learning might be happening not in the same physical space. Student voice, video, authentic audiences, and utilising social media. So how can digital tools help to communicate our ideas and learning, and how do I contribute to a digital society?
Sorry, Lara, can I just interrupt there? There's just a couple of people who are asking if you could show the bit.ly to the question doc. They just missed it at the beginning.
Sure can. So that's not the right one. Oh, I know why, because I put it in. Yeah, there we go. bit.ly/NSW 14 April, no capitals. And I'll grab that and bring it down. Get rid of that one there. And where were we up to? This one. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is Google Classroom, because to me, if you're using G Suite and your students are old enough and capable of logging into their accounts, then Google Classroom is definitely the place to be communicating with them, to be giving them feedback, to be sharing learning and all of those things. It brings everything together. So what I want to talk about first is the ability to do feedback in Google Classroom. And often when we're in a Word document that we haven't opened in Google Classroom, you can see that I have editing rights. So as a teacher, I can come in and change all of this, and it will actually make the changes live. When you open it into Google Classroom to view student work, it's automatically on suggesting, which means that when you come in, if you are trying to make changes, it doesn't change, it just suggests for them. Okay, so this suggesting out the side here doesn't make the change. You're not taking that away from the students. You can see here it's suggesting us text to add in, it's suggesting deleting, and it's putting a comment out the side for the students. Now, I wouldn't advise editing a student's entire document for them, but you might look at doing it with the first paragraph to the level that you think that student is capable of. So if you're suggesting, and this is true for just on docs, because obviously you can change this, but in Classroom, when you open it, it's automatically put on this. I would do the first paragraph, and then the student can have a look at what you've done, accept the suggestions, and then do the rest themselves. Because if you've done 20 suggestions in one doc, I don't think your students are going to read them to understand what it is. They're probably just going to go and click on all of them to get through. So communicating with them in stream and being able to send messages, private comments and messages within here attached to those assignments is really awesome. So using Google Classroom to communicate and facilitate that work and conversation with your students. We've talked a little bit about suggesting versus editing there, but I do want to just make sure you're aware of a couple of things that you could do within the doc when you're giving feedback. And again, you can do this within Google Classroom too. So suggesting versus editing, but also the comments. So you can comment on an image or words or whatever on your page. It has to be something. You can't comment on nothing. So if you highlight a part of the text, click on the plus, quickly put a comment in. That's feedback straight away for your students. You can also give them some feed forward. So you can give them this, and then you can even drop a link to the Edie Puzzle or the video in Google Drive that you created talking to them about full stops or whatever it is you're trying to do so that they can click on it and go back to find out. If you're doing this within Google Classroom, you can also save these as comment bank comments so that you can reuse them often. I'll just show you that very briefly. We'll jump into this one. Oh, it's going very slow today. I might come back to that later. So comments and assigning, suggesting versus editing. And the other thing you can do in here is tag them in the comment. So if you are wanting them to look at this, if it's a group work or you're looking for them to do more with it, Donna, can you please review this part? And I can assign that to Donna. It's going to go into her email as something that she needs to do. Screencastify. So somebody put in the comments before about Screencast-O-Matic. So Screencastify is very similar as a tool that you can use to record what's going on your screen and yourself as well. It's a Google Chrome extension that you can get. Extensions for Chrome are what we can use to extend what Google Chrome can do. You can see mine up here. I'm actually going to use it right now and show you what it does. Super easy. If I click on it, it's going to give me some choices of what it is that I'm looking to record. Do I want to record my browser tab? So that's what you're seeing at the moment. I'm sharing my browser tab with you, or my whole desktop, or my webcam only. So this would just turn around and be me. So if I wanted to be reading to my kids, I could use that. Do I want the microphone on? And if I'm doing desktop, do I want to embed the webcam? And what this will do is I can choose what it is that I want to share. I can do the whole window. Start recording. It's going to count me in. So I'm recording my quick little video for my students, very simple and straightforward. I'll click on stop. It opens it in a new tab for me, saves it directly to my Google Drive. You can see there my whole window and also me embedded in the corner. And I can push that straight out to Classroom, grab the link to it, really easy. So if you're finding that you're explaining something or you're reviewing student work and there's more than one or two people with the same question, record a quick video, share it out to those who need it, save it in your Drive so you can come back to it later, make it really easy to connect with your students in that way. Students can also use this to record their thinking, explain something to you, or show you what they were working on at that certain point in a day. So questions or comments, Donna?
Yes, we have a couple, Lara. So Harry's just got a question back on about Edie Puzzle. He's been having a little play in the background, and when he went to connect it with his classroom, he noticed some permission allowances that were being asked. So it asked to access his Google contacts, and it asked if he had parental and school permission. He's just wondering whether he should be concerned about these permissions.
Check it with your school, but I believe because it just integrates through Google, through the G Suite, it should be okay. But that would just be something to check with your school if you're wanting to connect it through Classroom. In the meantime, you could just share that link out with your students through Google Classroom, but you wouldn't see their progress individually within Edie Puzzle.
Julie is asking about access to the webinar. So yes, Julie, that will be, she was a little bit late joining. She had a prior commitment. So it's being recorded and it will be sent out to you, Julie. So don't worry about that. Pam is asking, is there a way when you record your voice in Google Docs or slides, can the students listen back to your voice?
Okay, no, not so much as easily as that. You can record audio, store it in Drive and add it to a slide. So insert audio would allow you to go to your Drive and find any audio that you've recorded that you've put in there. Donna, I haven't done too much of that since that's been released. Do you have a specific tool you would use, like a Chrome extension you'd use to record your voice within Docs and slides?
I actually use, I'll drop the link into the doc. I actually use Online Voice Recorder because it's incredibly simple to use and it allows you to trim the recording afterwards if you kind of muck up at the beginning or the end. Really easy for students to use too, and it just downloads quickly as an MP3. So then I just drag that into my Drive and pop that onto the slides.
Cool. So once you've recorded your audio somewhere and you put it in your Drive, yes, it's really easy to chuck that in. So you can see it's there now, and I could hit play and that will play that audio recording. I don't think you can do that in Docs, can you, Donna?
No, but what I would probably do is just change my slide to A4 size and treat it as a doc and put the sound in that way.
Sure, good idea, good workaround.
Vicky is just asking about offline access. So if students have dodgy internet or they don't live in a place with very good connectivity, is there the ability to be able to use some of these things offline?
Yes, there is. So when you're in your Drive, you'd need to turn on this setting first to allow you to do that. So this could be something that you record as a screencast for your kids. So you can show them, so you can come to settings. And then you just need to have this box checked. Once you've checked that box to allow offline access, then in here, file, and you say make available offline. So they would need to have the internet to access it initially, but then they can work on it offline. And when they go back online, it will update and sync, if that makes sense.
Thanks, Lara. And Vanessa's asking, how does she get Screencastify? Is it a Chrome extension or what?
Yeah, cool. So what I've actually got here for you is a video, which you'll have when you grab these slides at the end. I've got a link for you to the slides, which is a screencast of me showing you how to get and how to use Screencastify, Screencastify. So that's me again. It just shows you right from the beginning how to get through and find Screencastify in the Chrome Web Store, how to install it into Chrome, and then how to use it as well. So that's linked to the slides for you. So I won't go through that process just yet, but you'll just click on that. Sorry, you'll click on, having fun with my mouse today, click on that and then click on this to see that video.
And Lara, Maria's just popped a comment in the doc, just to point out to people that Screencastify allows you to only record for up to 5 minutes in the free version, and Screencast-O-Matic gives you 15 minutes of recording.
Cool.
So just good to know the difference there.
I'll just type in the speaker notes here, that other one, so people can find it too. And that's also just a Chrome extension, so you can find that in the same place that the Screencastify shows you how to find it. Alrighty, so I've got a couple of things to finish us off with. I'm going to start with one of my favorite tools, which is also integrated with G Suite, in that you can jump into it with your Google accounts, so signing in with your Google accounts. So this is, it's called Book Creator, and this is a book that I've made, all about what we've been talking about today. So you've got the link to that on the slides, you can use that later. But what I love is that you can also use it to actually create contents for your students to learn from. So I'll jump into where it is editable and show you behind the scenes. And just show you a really quick couple of things, because it sort of solves a lot of that accessibility things for your students that might have special needs. Recording audio straight into it does a lot of those things for you as well. So you've got lots of different things that you can put on your page. You can put a video of yourself on the page really fast by just going plus, camera, choosing to record a video. Hi, I hope I remember to delete this. Use it, delete it, whatever. So by clicking on use, it pops it onto the page. Don't have to go and find it in Drive or anywhere else. You can resize it, whatever you like. I'm going to get rid of it so it's not there in the book. You can see it there. You can also record audio very, very quickly. So plus, record. It's just started to pour with rain here and possibly a little bit of snow. So I hope it's nicer where you are. Stop recording, again, delete to restart or use. Pops that audio icon on your page for you to move around. And I've built this like I might build a self-directed learning experience for my students in books. So they watch the video for the instructions. Whenever they see this, they need to click on it. And I can give them links. So it's hyperdocs within here as well. You can make it so that they can make a copy of your book and work in it by having to type in different places. I'm just going to skip through. You'll have access to this, so you can come back to it later. Again, the Google image search is built in, so you don't have to worry about copyright if they're searching for images within this. So plus, import, Google image search, already licensed for reuse. Nice and easy. You can put in maps, files, things from your Drive, anything you want to from there, really. You can kind of find a workaround for anything. These are all audios that explain what I'm explaining to you right now. So it's a book that they could have by themselves. If they want to get some typing in, come to text, they can type straight in, or they can use the voice typing as well. Another great way for our students to get their information out of their brains and onto the page, full stop. Okay, and again, just checking if it's got any missed punctuation and saying done. And that's the information in there straight away. There's a lot of other things I could show you in here, but I'm conscious of time, so I won't. The pen tool's amazing. I will show you that because it's super fun. So pen, few different types of pens. This is just normal drawing, like you can see I made my beautiful line with, but auto draw allows you to start drawing. And if you look at the top of the screen where it says start drawing, you'll see it's going to show me some images. It's trying to predict what I'm drawing. Okay, and I could choose any of these to replace my drawing with, and it becomes another layer on my page. If I click on this and done, it's going to add that drawing to my page. So really fast for your students to be able to communicate what they're thinking. Labeling diagrams. So you can put an image on the page and you can lock it into place so that they can't move this image. You can even give them labels to move around, or you could ask them to label it themselves too. Letting them just go for it, put on whatever they want to put on, same as you have. There's a comic function built in. So when you first create a book, you can choose if you want it to be plain or comic. If you choose comic, you get these panels where you can embed, you can insert images and put text boxes and things on top as well. Really easy to share. So you can push that out with Publish Online, which is the link I've used to give you access to this. Download it as an ebook. You can collaborate with other people. Book Creator is free to a point, and I'm not sure what they've got going on at the moment with all the remote learning stuff and being offered. Donna, do you remember what we found out about that from last time?
Yeah, they are offering the full version at the moment. I think it's to do with the American school year, so I have a feeling it's through till the end of June, something like that.
Cool.
But it is free at the moment.
Awesome. So to me, that's a tool that you can use to bring lots of different things together. And be directing them to where you want them to go to, or within classroom as well. The last two things I want to show you are just things that kind of inspire me and make me think about when I was in the classroom. I think of about 100 different ways I could use these whenever I go into them. So I'm going to start with arts and culture. So Google Arts and Culture is just, it's part of G Suite, which means that you can create and curate content yourself within here. This has images and information from galleries all over the world and personal collections all over the world. So you can come in and you can search by lots of different things, by themes, by collections, whatever you want, by mediums. It's kind of neat just to come in and grab one and see what you can get inspired by. You can sort through all the oil paintings they have on file by using this, what's trending. In order that they were created, or by color, which is brilliant. I just love it. You can create your own list of favorites. If I come up here to favorites, and I'm going to go into this one here because I really adore this in terms of talking to students about what they can see in it. So it's a really good creative, gets the creative juices flowing. So looking at this picture, it's got the history and the story behind it down the bottom. It tells me where it is. It's in Vienna, Austria. And it's been photographed to an incredibly high resolution. So you can keep zooming in and have a look at what all the people are doing. I love it for thinking about machinery. So if you're looking at how things work and explanation writing, this could be a really cool way to do that with your students too. Exploring this, looking at different parts, taking on a character from the painting. And then you come up here and you look at these incredibly wealthy people who, obviously that's the king, and what are they doing? And the story behind this artwork is fascinating in itself. I'll zoom in as far as I can. Hopefully it's loading okay for you guys, but the detail of the paint is quite phenomenal. Another one that is really cool is Starry Night by Van Gogh. And in here, again, the detail of the brushwork is kind of mind-blowing. I love it. So you can create and curate your list of favorites to share with your students. You could also jump in and view this in the gallery. So we may be on lockdown or on isolation or whatever it is where you are, but you can still go and visit the Museum of Modern Art in New York. And I'm really bad at moving around with this. So I don't know why I keep trying to do it in these sessions, but you can view these amazing artworks as if you were there. There we go, that's better. Okay, I'm going to give up on trying to do that. So that is Google Arts and Culture. This is Google Earth Education and the geo tools that go with it. If you come in here and have a look at inspiration, there's a lot of stuff already put together. If you come into this one, it's got really cool ideas about storytelling and literacy, how you can use Google Earth, how you can use time lapse, just to get students thinking about what they're seeing and the changes. And I just think about descriptive writing that could be done with these kind of tools and access to them, sharing them out through your Hyperdocs or through Classroom or through wherever, seeing these changes over time and being able to talk about them would be really interesting, I think, for students. That's kind of coming to the end of what we were at, except for some questions. So Donna, we got anything coming in there?
We do, Lara. We have a question from Vicky, who's just asking about students with hearing impairment and the options to be able to add captions to videos.
Yes, YouTube. So if I come out to this one here, and I'll just mute it. A couple of things that are really worth knowing about in YouTube are the ability to change the playback speed. So if you are viewing videos that you want to use with your students, that can be really time consuming. So speed them up, watch them fast, and then you'll know if it's what you're looking for or not. And also slowing them down for students who need them a bit slower. And then also we've got, this is a really new video, so it may not have the captions ready yet. If I jump into, we'll go into this one, because it's not about coronavirus, and put on the closed captions and click on play. That's in YouTube. So it'll depend if you have access to YouTube or not. Closed captions on your videos that you've created in G Suite and Store and Drive. Donna, do you know any quick fix around that?
I know that Book Creator have just updated their latest software, the web version, with a whole lot of accessibility features. And I understand that when you bring a video into Book Creator now, there is an option to include captions.
Awesome.
So that would be another way of using that if YouTube is a no-go, is to use the Book Creator function.
Cool. Brilliant. Any other questions in there?
Yes, there is one from Anne, who was a bit late jumping into the webinar, and she's just asking whether she watches the recording, is it and she's registered, does she still get the acknowledgement for the course? I'm not really quite sure. Julia, we might need Julia to answer that one.
Yeah, pass. I think you'll get sent out an email where you can put your NESA numbers in afterwards, plus access to the recording later on. I don't think the recording will be straight away, but I imagine if you have watched that through, and yeah, maybe flick Julia back an email afterwards about that one.
Julie's just saying that she's registered, so yes, she will.
Ah, perfect.
Here we go.
Thanks, Julia.
Yeah.
Forgot you were there.
Yes.
There's our lovely lady in the background making everything work for us. So yeah, it's good to have her around.
She said it's a pleasure. Those are all the questions that we have at the moment, Lara. I'm just looking through the doc. Russell says it's great to see your face, and Book Creator just gave him a penny drop. So that's really
Yay,
awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I love Book Creator, and I also just think things like understanding how hyperlinks work, if you can know that and also show your students that, you're onto a bit of a winner there too.
And he's also just put some information in about how Google Earth can be linked with AGNSW. I'm not quite sure what that acronym is. I'm figuring it's something in the New South Wales Department of Education. People will know that. But he said it's lots of kids, lots of podcasts explaining Australian art, and great for Australian money. So awesome suggestions in there. Thanks, guys. And yep, Diab said it's a great presentation, feeling a bit overwhelmed, which is understandable. So
but remember, I'm throwing lots of things at you, and you'll have the slides, you'll have the recording at some point, you'll have the recording. Start with one or two things that you think really connect with you and your students, your context and your community. Start there. I just wanted to show you what was possible. I know I was very aware that that might have been the feelings people got.
Emma says, thank you, some great takeaways. So, and Michael says, thank you for an informative and interesting presentation, thought-provoking in our present world. So
awesome.
Yeah, I think lots of thanks, Lara. I think questions we seem to come to an end of, but if you do think of one, guys, pop them in the doc, because we will just monitor it for the next little while so we can still answer one if something pops up a little bit later.
Awesome. And if you want to grab these slides now, the link to them will be put onto the email that comes to you shortly as well. But if you want to grab them, that's the link to them there. And thank you very much for joining us. And thanks to Donna for fielding all those questions and being my wingman, or wing lady, sorry. And I hope you all have a really good week and things are going well, and you stay safe and wash your hands. That's all. So thank you. I'll just leave that there for another minute or two before we cut the recording, so you can grab that link if you're wanting to head to the doc.
Laura, I've also just popped that at the top of